Hello and welcome back to Dev with Sev. I'm Sev the Dev, and today we are going to begin creating terrain by implementing tilemaps. Up until now, we have been using sprites for each piece of terrain. Tilemaps allow us to take sheets that contain multiple designs and paint them into our scene. They are more efficient than sprites because they require you to create fewer game objects. This reduces load times, memory utilization, and the CPU usage of your scene. On the other hand, you are restricted to working with the grid's positional values, and the shape of your tiles has to match the shape of the tile map. This means you can't use hexagon tiles and square tiles on the same map. For sprites, you can have much more detailed artwork with varying shapes, but it requires you to instantiate and render them as individual objects. Knowing this helps us optimize our scenes. If you don't need precise control over the placement of your assets or you have too many to place, then tile maps are the way to go. However, if you need greater control over the positioning and shape of your assets, then sprites are better suited for this. Just keep in mind that sprites are less performant when applying them to game objects. The first thing we are going to need to set up our tile map is a tile sheet. If we navigate to our free pixel pack, we'll notice that they've included a tile set for us to use. Let's click on that, and we'll need to change some settings in the inspector. We need to change the sprite mode from single to multiple because there are multiple sprites on this one sheet. We also need to adjust the pixels per unit to match how large these square tiles are. This particular tile set is using 32 by 32 pixels, so our pixels per unit should be 32. Additionally, we want to set our compression down here from normal to none. And we want to verify that filter mode is point no filter. Once these settings are set, we can click apply. Now that we have those settings, we can go up here and click on Sprite Editor. If you get this error here, it means you need to install a package from the Package Manager, so you'll just need to go to Window, Package Manager, and wait for the list to populate. We're going to be looking for 2D Sprite. Click Install. And after that's done, we'll also want to install the 2D Tile Map Editor. Once those are installed and we have the two check marks, we can click X out of that, and now we should be able to open our sprite editor. Now to tell Unity how large our tiles are supposed to be, we need to slice the tile sheet. At the top, we click Slice, and we can change the type from automatic to grid by cell size. We know our pixels per unit is 32 by 32, so we need to change the pixel size to 32 by 32. Then click Slice. We'll see this grid appear, and if it matches up with our tiles, we can go ahead and click Apply. Now in our project view, we can go back down to our tile set, and we should have this drop-down menu, and it'll show us each individual tile. If we select them, we'll see that they have been cut out from the tile sheet and are displaying individually here. Now that we have our tiles, we can go ahead and close the sprite editor. And if we right-click on our scene, we can click 2D Object and Tile Map. We'll notice this makes a grid object and childs a tile map to it. If we select the grid object, we'll see that our scene's been sectioned into these squares, and our tile map has components such as tile map and the tile map renderer, so we can actually attach sprites to them and it'll render these sprites in the different squares on the grid. You can change the size of your grid and the spacing of your tiles from these two objects, but we are going to use the default settings for now. Now we'll need to add our tiles to a tile palette so we can start painting them in our scene. Let's go up to Window, click 2D, and then Tile Palette. We can dock this over here, and let's create a new palette. We'll name this Terrain, and we'll leave these other two settings to default. Click Create, and it'll save it as an asset in our project. So let's go ahead and make a new folder. And we'll name this Tile Palettes. Click Select Folder, and now you'll see that we have an active tile map is set to the tile map, and we're using the Terrain palette. Now that that is set up, we can scroll up to our tile set, let's collapse this, and drag the tile set into the palette. We'll notice that we have to make another asset, so let's go into our tile palettes and make a new folder called Tiles. Select that folder. Now it's going to generate the assets, and we should see them here in our palette. Now if we select the brush tool here, we can go around selecting these individual tiles that we sliced earlier and paint them into our scene. We can also take the eraser tool and get rid of them. We can go ahead and delete our terrain object now and go up to our tile palette and select the brush tool, and let's paint a quick floor for our characters to stand on. Alright, we've painted the floor, and let's click play. But we'll notice that our characters are still falling through the ground. To fix that, we'll have to add a Tilemap collider to our map here. Click Add Component, type in Tilemap, and it is the Tilemap Collider 2D option. Now we'll click play, and we'll see our characters land on the floor. We will also notice that we have these unsightly tears in between some of our tiles. The best method I have found is to make your tiles in your tile sheet 1 pixel larger than the pixels per unit you're going to use. For example, if you want to use a pixels per unit of 32, then make the tiles in your tile sheet 33 by 33 pixels. This works because when slicing your tiles from the sheet, Unity will sometimes include an extra pixel from the tile's surroundings so that it fits perfectly into the slice. This can result in transparent edges or pixel tearing. One easy way to fix the tearing without having to redo your whole tile set is to select the tile set and set your pixels per unit 1 pixel smaller than the tiles on your sheet. And since this sheet is 32 by 32, I'm going to set the pixels per unit to 31. Now if I click apply, we'll see that the tiles get slightly bigger, but the tearing has gone away. Now that we have fixed the pixel tearing, let's go ahead and create a custom scene. We can go to our tile palette and start painting tiles onto the scene. I'm going to make a quick obstacle for our character to get around, and set up an objective for our player to get to. If we click play and move up to our pillars, we'll notice that they actually have collision and we can't move through them. We don't actually want this because our objective is that ruby there. And this is because they are being drawn on this tile map, and this tile map includes a collider. To fix this, we're going to right-click the grid, select 2D Object and Tile Map and make a new one. And we'll notice this does not have a collider. So if we go back into our palette, go to the original tile map and erase the pillars. Now if we go to tile map 1 and redraw the pillars on there, and then play the game, notice that if we reach the pillar, we don't actually have collision anymore. You can also note that if you click on your tile map, you'll notice this order in layer, and you can change this to decide what order it's being drawn. We want both these tile maps on the same layer and to be behind the character, so we're going to set them both to -1. And that's all we have to do for tile maps. Now that we have this set up, we can use any tile sheets we want to design the look and feel of our game. In the next few videos, we are going to start creating power-ups for our character to acquire. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like or subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Let me know if you have any comments or suggestions down below. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sev the Dev, and I will see you all in the next one.